Imagine you are resting. You have spent many days walking through the wilderness, guided by the stars and the land below you. Finally, after weeks of traveling, you have found a small cleft in the land, with a river running through it. Around it are many plants and trees, and in the water there are small shimmering creatures that move against the current and leap up from the water to climb the waterfall from which the river descends. The trees have fruit that seem familiar to you, and they look ripe and good for eating. You lay down your bag and take off your hat. You're aching from the walk and you decide it's time to rest. You sit down by the river and dip your feet in the water to clean them. They are sore and calluses have formed on your skin. Your feet are much tougher now than when you began your journey, but some sores have not turned to calluses and still hurt. The water cools them. Perhaps you decide to jump into the water and clean your whole body. You've picked some fruit and it seems good to eat. You have survived till now on what you could forage or hunt as you travelled, and the valley in contrast is full of potential food. Unlike where you came from, it does not seem to have been affected by the change of the seasons yet. What might you do now that you do not have to walk and you do not have to work as hard? Your mind wanders as you rest, and you begin to think of new things that can be done, things which you did not have time to think about before, or wished you could do whilst you were working. Perhaps you will fix up your bag, or make a new bigger one for carrying more food. Maybe you will try to repair your clothes, or find material for better clothes, or perhaps you will try to do as little as possible for a while in order to regain your energy. Your mind keeps returning to work. After some of these tasks have been done, your curiosity leads you to explore the valley further. You feel a desire to explore, to wander, and to see what is around with no real purpose in mind. Behind the waterfall is a cave, which you can see from the entrance goes much further in. A few scraps of food suggest to you someone else was here before you. You wonder if they will return. On the other side of the valley which you climb, you see there are a new animal in the field nearby. They are covered in a thick coat of dark fur, and underneath they seem fatty and good to eat, and have no sharp teeth, claws, or horns. It seems to have no natural protection on it from a weapon. You bring your spear. You have realized you can easily kill the animal by getting the spear to its throat. You catch one easily, kill it, and bring it back to where you have made your camp. You begin again working, this time the work of picking apart the animal. You remove the fur, which seems to be in long strands that could be useful to you for clothes or other ways of keeping warm. Perhaps you will try to bind all the pieces together in your newfound free time. Perhaps next time you catch one, you can keep the fur on the skin if you can find a way to preserve it from going bad, and wear it like the stranger you saw in the wilderness. You have noticed your own skin grow darker, drier, and harder in the sun. Perhaps this will work for the skin of the animal too. The other parts of the animal you take apart carefully. You remove all the meat and fat from the bones and set it aside to cook. You use some to eat right away, and some to cook for a long time to preserve it for when you travel later. Even as you're resting, you're thinking about making another journey, although you're not sure where. Also in the animal are organs. Some look good to eat. Others, when you cut them open, have strange things inside. It looks like the food of the animal goes through these parts from what you can tell. You wonder if what you find in the animal can tell you something about the land you're in some way. If you did this over time, would they indicate changes in the land? If you had lots of time, you could watch and see what happens. Still, you've not fully recovered from your journey yet, and you take the time to sleep and recover. After a week or so, perhaps you think about what might be further down the river. Perhaps you think about the things that guided you on your journey. And maybe when you sleep, you have dreams of what might come or what had happened. Sometimes you hear voices in your dreams, or meet people who tell you what to do, sometimes in a confusing way. You wonder whether you should listen or whether these are just shadows of the night that you should ignore. Now that you're here and you have time to reflect, you have the feeling that the stars guided you exactly to this point of safety and food. You keep your eyes on the stars to see if there is any indication of what might come next. You wish that they had a voice to tell you of the coming changes in the land, if they know. One day you decided just to ask them. You lit a fire at the top of the valley closest to the stars, and you asked for guidance, but you heard no reply. It seems natural to you that if the stars can guide you in directions, maybe there are other things they know, but they have kept their secrets. After that night, the next few days, the skies are filled with clouds and a strong rain comes. The animals you found have gone. You wonder if this is a message, but you do not know exactly what it means. You shelter in the cave whilst the rain comes. What is the sky telling you? Once they've passed, the plants in the land grow stronger and greener. The furry animals return to the field. You decide you will stay longer and make better clothes and packs from animals and materials around, and then perhaps you will follow the river down and see where it leads if the season starts to change. You decide to build a stronger structure that will protect you from the weather and keep your things dry, and this will take some time, which you have. Although the cave worked for you when you were unprepared, you are still unsettled that others have used it, and the long dark passage that leads down behind it does not make for an easy night's rest. You catch another of the field animals, and you notice now that the entrails are much larger than last time, despite the animal being roughly the same size. What changed in the land? If the grass they ate grew better from the rain, you suppose that the animal also would grow and change. From watching them, you see that they must chew the grass for a long time in order to eat it. You tried this once or twice, but you found that the grass was not good for you. You could not break it down in the way they could. You think it's easier and quicker for you to let the animals do the chewing, and then you can catch and eat them. All this time of resting and easy food has given you a chance to observe and experiment many things. Drying out the skin of the animal has meant you can make many things: clothes, water carriers, or shelter. You've been able to improve the pots you've made and explore the fruits and herbs of the land. You have tried hard to listen to the land and see its signs in order to gain insight in what you should do. This night you watch the stars again. As you are starting to fall asleep, you see a new light in the sky which moves past faster than a bird. It passes over your head and down along the path of the river. In your mind you wonder whether this, like the other stars, is the sign of something to come. The stories of the Bible often talk about places and times for resting. God rests on the seventh day after working to make the world. What did this allow him to see or experiment with, as in our story? What was he watching for? Was he asleep? What might happen in the world when God is sleeping? When Noah is in the ark, there is a kind of forced rest. No one is able to build or make anything. They must wait until the water subsides. Perhaps as in our story, the world is resting during the flood and becoming clean again after gaining calluses and sores. After this, what did rest provide Noah in his tent after he had grown grapevines and made wine? After his experimental work, he enjoyed the fruits of the labor, and he rested. When Abraham rests, he is often under trees. Here is when God speaks to him. Why does God come when he is resting or sleeping? Perhaps Abraham is able to hear him because he is not preoccupied elsewhere. It seems as though Abraham has time, at some points, to experiment with things. Perhaps the pattern of wandering and rest is a way to see things in a new way. Exploring and taking time to take things in, trying something out, and waiting to see what it does. One part of Abraham's story that is not often talked about is the ritual God tells him to do, where he cuts several animals into halves and lays them opposite one another. Why does this give him a deeper insight into what is to come for him and his descendants? could Abraham learn something about the land and how it is that tells him this. When guests come to Abraham, he gives them water to wash their feet and offers them food. These simple acts show us what is foremost in our minds when we need to rest. Washing feet after a long journey seems natural. Eating food to restore energy as well. What role does shelter play in providing rest? When you make a shelter, you're keeping out everything that might cause harm or distract you from resting. The stronger the shelter, the less harm and the less distractions. How far do the people in the stories of the Bible go to make shelter for different types of rest or renewal? For Moses and the Israelites wandering in the desert, it seems important that they set aside a special location around which their entire camp is formed in order to provide a space such as this. This space they consider to be sacred, set apart and untouched by outside influences. Scientists do a similar thing when experimenting. Perhaps the pattern is finding out what something does when it's left entirely on its own without anything else distracting it. What places do you create for rest? Are there distractions you can't keep out or intentionally keep in? Maybe you can observe and even experiment in your own world to understand these patterns in the Bible on some basic level. I will continue to make a video each month, following the story of this journey and relating it to simple ideas in the Bible. My goal is not to provide any particular answers to the questions I raise here, but hopefully spark some thoughts in your mind that may lead you to your own conclusions. Thanks for watching.